lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. He's crazy.
Side by side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck. Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the one and only Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. We are getting ready to go racing for 75 minutes here tonight for round 7 of the HPP Simulation Sportscar Challenge live on the global SimRacing channel. Hi everyone, I'm Samuel Ryman, and with me in the booth tonight is Sean Ambrose, who will be covering the Daytona Prototype and GT3 classes, as well as Justin Prince, who will bring us all the action in the GTE class. Behind the scenes we have our director Armchair Diarmin doing all the button pushing, and he's using camera sets provided by the one and only Dougie Beard. Justin, tonight we are kicking off the second half of the season at one of the most popular circuits on the calendar for sports car drivers, Formula 1 drivers, and really any kind of road racing driver. The Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is truly special.
It definitely is, since this track has opened in the 1920s. This has seen a lot of action throughout the years, including, as you mentioned, Formula 1, the 24 hours to Cirque de Francorchamps, and so forth. The original circuit was 15 kilometers. Since then, of course, with the advancements of safety, it's gone to what we see today, a 4.35 mile, 7 kilometer circuit with 19 turns. A very large track, especially for a 75-minute endurance race for tonight. Of course, you do have your simple 2 laps with 8 minutes to qualify overall, but it's going to be a big challenge overall. To help explain that, let's go to your GSRC lap guide.
Alright, Kevin Brown is behind the wheel of the GSRC BMW, so let's do a lap around Spa. The very first corner is the nefarious La Source hairpin. Turn 1 pileups are common here, so drivers will need their heads on a swivel. 3 and sometimes even 4 wide can happen as everyone jockeys for position. As you exit, getting the power down is going to be critical due to the combination of the downhill and the long acceleration zone. Heading by the old pits, you gotta hug that wall to the right and set up for Eau Rouge. Then hold your breath and keep your foot down as you try to straighten this baby out. Guys who push wide at Rodillon are going to wind up with a slowdown penalty, and that is going to hurt as everyone blows by them along the Kemmel Straight. Now we switch to an uphill climb to the highest point on the circuit. The Lacombe chicane coming up will be one of your best passing opportunities, though it is possible to defend from the outside. You can expect guys to pass up an easy overtake into La Source and wait to get somebody here. As you switch back and forth, make sure you set up for Malmedy to keep anybody from getting a run on you toward Ravage. Now it's all downhill from here. Literally. We've got a steep plunge into the braking zone and all the way around this 180-degree corner. You're likely to experience understeer, but before you know it, it's time to get to the right and flick it through no-name corner. Now we set it up for Pouan. With the grip of these cars, there's just a little braking and then holding on as the car tries to slide wide into that paved runoff. As soon as you feel you've got the line, time to ease onto that right pedal and accelerate the rest of the way around this very fast corner. Careful how wide you drift on the exit though, with the slippery AstroTurf right beside the curb. Get back to the left, and now we've got Fagnes. Make sure and hug the inside on that right-hander to give yourself the best launch towards Stavolo. Once again, be wary of that AstroTurf. One more switchback, and it's a pretty straightforward 90-degree corner for this first part. But the real important thing is the next right-hander. We only have to lift a little, but wait too long, and you'll lose time hand over fist down the backstretch. You've got some mild little turns, but once again, there's no lifting all the way. Even as you come up to Blanchimont, the grip of this car lets you stay in it easily. Just carry as much of your momentum as you can, and then drift back to the left and spot your brake marker for the bus stop. This is probably your next best chance to get beside another car in the braking zone. I've seen passes made both inside and outside, so pick your poison and hold firm. There's even a possibility of pulling a switchback if you time it right. But as we pull back to the main straight, we've now finished a lap around Spa.
And we will be racing for 75 minutes tonight, but this being the big track that it is, only about 35 laps the prototype cars will complete around here. And of course, as we mentioned and we see on screen, the Corvettes in that Daytona prototype class, that's just one of 3 classes, and that means just one of 3 championships going on, Sean.
Yes, 3 championships going on here in the HPP Simulations championship. Prototype standings are as such. Sam Fitzpatrick up top with 137 points. Michael Advoca sitting there now in second, just 12 points behind. This battle is really, really close, very intense. Carlo Labate with just 18 points behind our leader Sam. Gabriel Ruse, 21 points back, 3 points away from Carlo Labate. David Weiss sits down there in 5th currently. He's 31 points back. Let's move on to the GTE standings and take a look at Benjamin Perez sitting on top with 114 points. Brian Sutton nipping at his heels there in 2nd. Ronaldo Lorena there 3rd. Then we got to go a little bit farther back. Now the GTE, it's really been a battle between those top 3. A little bit further back, you go to Elliot Biddle, 26 points back in the hunt, and Miguel Vigo sitting there in 5th, 42 points out right now. But again, the top 3 are the ones we're watching very closely in the GTE right now. Let's move on to, of course, the GT3 standings, where Dexter Castro sits on top currently, and CM Skinner very, very close. Those 2 have been added here through several rounds, and I expect it to continue. Now Renz Brinkman making a charge, but he's got to watch out for Yavi Utreras back there in 4th. Then you go a lot farther back there to Jesse Stevens, and he is 38 points back currently. So there we go. There are your points championship. Sam, any of the drivers participating in this IMSA Sportscar Championships at 8:45 p.m. Eastern in Season 3 here do qualify for the points, and they gain the points in the official series and in the HPP Simulation Challenge. And only the HPP points are considered for these GSRC broadcasted races, so only the top split counts, because that's the one we're covering, folks.
And of course, that can be a problem from week to week with multiple splits. We actually have 3 splits going on right now, and because this is an official iRacing series race basically, and there is always a risk that a driver whose iRating isn't as good as maybe their talent actually is, that they may end up in the middle split, and so there could be some championship contenders that we were just reading out that aren't actually here tonight. We'll read down the full grid once this qualifying session ends. 2.5 minutes left to go, Justin.
Yes, 2.5 minutes to go, and as you're seeing, drivers like Adoka are going to have a very wild challenge throughout the entire night, because as many people have noticed, it's a 75-minute race. There's still a 17 incident limit, of course, since it's still an official series, meaning if you go off the track, say, every 2 laps, you'll get disqualified before the race finishes off. So if you're many of these drivers here, you're trying to tiptoe through a lot of these corners, I think, and try and make sure you don't have those off tracks and disqualify yourself with 2 laps to go, for example. Well, so with the time being a factor, of course, as well as the length of the race, that's, I think, one thing to really watch for.
Time is counting down on the clock. And now when one of these officials sessions open, they have a 3-minute practice. It's already passed, and as we already mentioned, this 8-minute qualifying session there right now. And as we have these cars on screen, you'll see the leaderboards for their respective classes, whether it be GTE, GT3 or Daytona Prototype. I'll tell you, in those 3 classes right now, Luis Paulo Gallon is leading DP. Leading GTE, we have Jonathan Brolt, and then Javi Utreras, the #1 car in the race. That means he's got a greater iRating than anyone else in this race. He is currently at the top of the GT3 board.
And Sam, one of the more challenging things about qualifying here at Spa with all 3 of these classes is with only 8 minutes, it's really tough to get 2 flying laps down, because remember, the out lap doesn't count, so you've got to get all the way around in just over 2 minutes. Then you've got to get a hot lap down and barely get that 3rd lap in, which is the official 2nd lap. So we have drivers with 33 seconds left. We still have not completed their second lap. Some coming around now completing that. But again, you can't afford any type of mistake because of the limited amount of time to complete qualifying.
Counting down the last 20 seconds here. You mentioned that. I see about 5 drivers, I think, have yet to turn in a lap. And I want to go back to the point that you were making, Justin, of 1 incident point every 2 laps could result in you being disqualified from the race. That is very easy to do around here.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up here, especially with qualifying. Like, the drivers who did turn in laps, about 2/3 of the drivers, so about 20 drivers, had incident points just in those qualifying laps of 2 to 3 laps. If you have that happen during the race, that's not a good thing as they set up for the grid.
Alright, so let's read the grid here, beginning with the DPs. Go through these quickly. We got Luis Paulo Gallen on pole ahead of Carlo Labate. Gabriel Rees will be starting 3rd ahead of Michael Evdoka. Clint Shane Smith and Sam Fitzpatrick are 5th and 6th. One prototype that didn't turn the time was Cy Andra. Just 7 DPs here today, Justin.
And in your GTEs, as we go through quickly, Jonathan Brolt starts off the grid for them. Moreno Reyes starting alongside him. In the second row, Benjamin Perez and Lewis Goodway. Michael Houghton and Carlos Villa will start off in row 3, followed by Jose Ramon Barra and Andrew Welter. Miguel Vigo and Mario Teixeira follow them off, followed by Corey Roan. There are 3 drivers who did not turn times: Blake Neck, Brian Sutton, and Dino Topic, who the last of that group is currently having connection issues. Sean?
All right, in the GT3 class, Yavi Utreras gets the pole. The number 1 in the number 1 slot, Robin Esterson, the New York driver, will start 2nd. Nestoras Kiosoglu is going to start 3rd tonight, and that's the 3 in the 3 hole. And then we've got Jorge Blasco Valls in the 4th position. Dexter Castro qualifying 5th. Cameron Barry there in 6th. Steve Brown, the New England driver, 7th. 8th going to go to Jeremy Rue, and Daniel Cruz going to qualify 9th in the GT3 class, guys.
So the field getting gridded up here. Now they're getting gridded up in the Blanchimont section. For those of you who haven't seen a sports car race at Spa on iRacing before, this is where they get gridded up, and they'll roll to the bus stop chicane, which is where the pace car, who's just peeling off now, that's where he'll go into the pit. However, the start line isn't actually until coming out of La Source on the run down to Eau Rouge. But as soon as the pace car peels off, Luis Paulo Gallen can really go whenever he wants. However, most of the time, they'll wait until after La Source, and that's where they'll get on the loud pedal, and hopefully they'll all be single file through Eau Rouge, because that's not a place where you want to be side by side, Justin.
Yeah, you don't want to be side by side in some of these areas, of course, as you mentioned, because, of course, I think a lot of drivers, yes, you have a lot of space, but you still have to be able to get into your line quickly. So you're all set up to go, really. In fact, they are about to set up and go, just as I'm saying that, in the DPs.
Yeah, still got 1 turn here. Now, of course, all these, they've already split up into their 3 packs for their 3 respective classes. However, these turns are quite tight that they have to go through. The bus stop, of course, a tight chicane, and then the La Source hairpin. We've seen many big incidents, but also great passing moves in the past. Here they go, the DPs going through La Source. Gallen cuts over into Labate's line before he gets on the loud pedal, and he's leading them away. Green flag out for 75 minutes of racing here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. DPs mostly single file, so they're off to a clean start. What about our second class there, Justin?
The GTE's also off to a clean start with the Ferraris and Fords. A lot of them already going single file right past the start and finish line and through the first bend. We'll see how the third class, the GT3s, are doing with Sean. Sean?
Yes, Robin Esterson gets past Yavi Utreras out of La Source. He now leads it coming up the Kemmel Straight. Yavi under attack from Jorge Valls and Dexter Castro, all scurrying here down into La Source. Into Lacombe. This is going to be fun.
And speaking of Lacombe, one of the drivers who took advantage of position in the GTEs, Benjamin Perez, He is now to the front of the field already, in front of Brault, from a goodly time pass to get ahead, as he's quickly starting to pull away a bit from your pole sitter from the GTEs.
So Benjamin Perez off to a good start in GTEs. Now, a driver we've seen have success this season in prototype, not off to a great start. That is Gabriel Roos. He was one of the victims to the Eau Rouge raid-along complex on the opening lap, where he went too far over the curb, had to serve a slowdown penalty. He's running last in the DPs right now.
Man, I'm very impressed with the start Esterson got in the GT3s, man. Yavi actually got the jump on the start across the line. He was on the hammer, but they got down to La Source, and Esterson takes the inside right. He hugs right around La Source and takes over that spot from him. Now he's already opened it up to about 3/4 of a second here as he heads through turn 16 now and on his way to Blanchimont here. Oh, Neck with trouble, guys.
Yeah, Blake Neck, one of the GTEs. Let's see what happened in the GSRC replay real quick. The Aussie, as you can see, was at the back of the main pack. There was some bumping and banging in front of him, and then it looks like he got loose, trying to avoid that, hitting the brakes a little bit too hard and smacked into the wall.
And he's not too pleased, and there's no fast repairs, of course, in this official series race, so it's going to be unlikely that he'll get back out there in a car that handles all too well.
Yeah, he's already had to tow as well, so his race could basically be done already. You have Dino Topic as well. He's still running. He had connection issues to start. He is 2 laps down and all the way behind the GT3s from his struggle. So 2 drivers already from the start of the race struggling already with lap timing and with control, while the rest of the GTEs pull right ahead.
Tell you what, even though, Sean, we saw the drivers get single file at the start, there were quite a few passes on that opening lap, with the leaders of GTE and GT3 already being a driver other than the pole sitter.
Yeah, well, you know, Dexter Castro had gotten a really, really good start. He was one of those examples, but man, he just got passed by Nestoras Kiosagla. Made a really, really bold move on him, going down to Lacombe. Dexter was wise to let him have it, didn't want to force any issues there with him, but Nestoras seems to have a really, really good pace right now, and early on, he seems to be a strong car that's gaining, so we'll see, because Jorge Blasco up in front of him about a second and a half. The front 3 in the GT3s right now, a little bit spread out. In fact, throughout the class, you've got to get back to, 6th in class right now, is we're going to find the battle between Steve Brown, and he's chasing Cameron Barrier here.
You mentioned how most of the field is spread out. Can't really blame them all too much, considering how long this race is, and Justin brought attention to it earlier as, boy, these guys really are getting close as they run through Blanchimont. But Justin, you brought attention to it before the race. We don't want to see drivers running off too much, because if they do... Oh boy, here he goes, aggressive pass, and he hits him!
Oh!
That won't help your incident point limit.
Yeah, Cruz comes over the radio and apologizes, but this is a pretty aggressive move right here, Sam. I mean, you know where those drivers are going to turn, I guess. That's a shame. That's a hard knock for Barry there.
Yeah, Team Bushfink, that was some bad luck there, really. Just, that's the case of coming in hot, really, is the best way to describe it. And Barry is the one who is the victim of all that. As you mentioned, Samuel, not the greatest thing for your incident limit thing, incident limit cap, I should say.
There's been a good battle for third going on in DP in the opening few laps. Clint Shane Smith got it on the opening lap, then Michael Evdoka took it back. Now Smith is back out in front, running third there. The problem is, while they've been trading positions, they've allowed the top 2 of Luis Paulo Gallon and Carlo Labate to run away a little bit.
Yeah, Sam, they have run away to a tune of about 4 seconds right now. It's really their race up front. Labate, not quite as fast as Gallon right now. Gallon does seem to be the class of the field here early on. You know, we've seen it week in, week out. He is one of the best out here in this Corvette, but Labate, a tough customer himself, and those two continue to step away from what is, 5 more cars behind him. So here we go through the source, and Gallon still has the great power coming off the hairpin there, and Labate just seems to get a little bit left behind as they head down the hill.
Down the hill and then back up the hill through the Eau Rouge Radalon complex, and for the Daytona prototypes in this race, that's fairly easy. Problem is, Justin, when you get back to these GTE cars, sometimes you really do have to lift.
Yeah, you really do, because of course these are, for one, the GTEs are the second fastest car really on the track, but as well, that while this track is known for being able to go in high speeds, with the GTEs you still have to lift and still be careful with how you go into these corners. Whereas because if you go in too fast, you'll either go into the grass while on the exit, or you'll lose control of your car on a quick corner. As there's the battle for the lead, meanwhile, as Brault getting underneath Perez, as here's the battle here. A nice pass by Brault to get by Team Busch Finks Perez, and this is already the second lead change for the GTEs.
But just between the two drivers, with Perez being the pole sitter. Sorry, with Brault being the pole sitter. Lewis Goodway sitting back there in third, just watching him for now.
Yeah, Goodway's doing a very good run. He was third in qualifying overall, and it's just been up there the whole time. Perez has been really the biggest mover of the car, starting in that front grouping of the GTEs when you look at it. And of course, Goodway, the same team as Perez, just right in front of him. And it looks like Team Busch Fink has got things dialed together on the GT setups today, but a big-time person I'm seeing improving is Brault compared to some of the previous weeks.
Sam, this battle here in the GT3 class up front, it's unchanged, but I'll tell you what, Javi Utreras is really, really willing it, man. He has followed just about every step of Robert Esterson through this track, and I think he's learning right now just in trying to figure out what's going to be the best place to make a move on him. We still have an awful lot of racing to go with just over an hour. Javi's in no real hurry. He's kept him at arm's length, and he's really happy with that right now. Javi's car looks very, very stable. Esterson, again, made a bold move at the beginning and has done just enough to stay in front, but Javi starting to get there and starting to maybe put a little pressure on Robert Esterson now, and well, we'll see if the New York driver can be rattled by the Floridian. Battle of the I-95 there on the coast.
Yeah, well, Javi has only been in 3 of the races this season, and he is placed in the top 2 in all 3 of them, and consequently he is sitting 4th in the points. And of course, if he doesn't miss any more races during this season, that will help him, because you get 2 drop weeks, so those 2 no-shows will be kicked out of the door. However, even though he could get a top 2 finish by sitting where he is right now, I'm sure he'd like to get by Robin. It's not close enough as they go down to Lake Holmes. He sticks his nose up. I think that was just a bit of an intimidation technique there. Yeah, and back in GTE, Justin, we mentioned how Lewis Goodway, I think, actually moved up from 4th to 3rd in the opening stages here. Marino Reyes lost a couple of positions at the start, but he's just handing out the M4s right now.
Yeah, right now it's just a 4-car pack currently. Everyone's still single file for the most part, other than passes for the lead. He's just getting into the rhythm, dialing things together right now. You can see them all driving together. Reyes at the back of that train, as I think he's just patiently waiting for any move right now. Just trying to keep up really to make sure it doesn't become a 3-car grouping They are getting, of course, getting very close into the corners they're entering right now, but of course, as you've noticed, they are having a hard time keeping up on exit, as it is with these kind of cars in the GTEs. It's just a matter of keeping up with the pace right now. And you're seeing right now Reyes' teammate and Villa is trying to keep up. Now he's starting to close in a little bit on Reyes at the moment.
Now, Sean, we're only about 10 minutes into this race, so it's way too early to start playing strategy games, but it's not too early to start thinking about strategy for these drivers. And it's quite critical around here, given the tyre wear and the fuel consumption, given the fact that pit road is so long.
Yeah, pit road is really long, and that is a big factor in the strategy, because as we were kind of theorizing before the race, I mean, you do put yourself over 75 minutes in a situation where the GTE class could roll out the dice and possibly not have to stop during this race, because if you're willing to give up a little bit of time on track, I think we estimated about 2 seconds on track per lap. Oh, problem with Sherry, to get that on the replay.
Now let's take a look at that there. I was just about to mention that. Yeah, car went off the track just in front of him. Teixeira slams into him and then gets bumped more. That was Brian Sutton, your second place points position driver in your HPP Simulation Sports Car Challenge standings. Let's see what happened to Sutton. He took the corner a bit too hot, went back on track, and bam, Teixeira slams into him and then off the tire barriers. Man, both cars having bad luck big time in that situation.
And Teixeira has taken a tow into the pits, the second driver to have done that in the early stages here. Well, that's not going to help whatever kind of strategy you're trying to implement, obviously.
Yeah, that I think all strategy has gone out the window, and all chances of winning the race overall have gone out the window with that kind of situation. If you're these three cars, though, you have to wonder what their strategy may be, because as Sean was mentioning, we were discussing this with a few of our drivers as well, a lot of drivers might decide, I'm not going to go pit if they can stretch it. Some have argued, though, that it's not as fast to do that, of course, because you have to conserve your fuel, compared to going in to get fuel with about 15 minutes to go, for example. So it's going to be the balance of who decides to go in, who doesn't. I personally see a lot of drivers, if they have the opportunity to stretch it, they will stretch it when given that chance. So we might see a couple drivers decide to go in, though, just as a safety precaution. We'll have to see. There's still a long way to go until we get there.
And I think a driver in the best position in this pack of four cars we've got going on is Marino Reyes, a driver at the back of this pack, because he can afford to let off the gas pedal a little bit down the straights and play some fuel conservation as we go a bit further back with us. Two cars racing side by side through Les Combes. I'll tell you what, that may not be the fastest part of a track, but as we saw last lap, things can happen in a hurry there.
Hey, I got something going on here in the Corvettes. Sam Fitzpatrick is really close to losing his spot to Evdoka. Evdoka has been hot on his tail. Sam made just a small mistake back there in Fagny, and he's still paying for it. But as I say that, Evdoka makes his own little mistake. Not good right there as they head to the chicane bus stop. Got somebody else in trouble back there, guys.
Yeah, and that's one of the GTEs, Andrew Wilcher. We'll see what happened to him here. As you can see, he had just been passed, I think, a few moments ago, and he went very fast and just lost the back end there, and it took a minute to get back going there. Just an example of he just went too fast, and it just led to him just losing the back end of his Ferrari. Luckily, it just leads to a couple spots lost for him, but it could be costly. But of course, there is still a lot of time to go here, because that cost him 4 spots overall.
Yeah, that happened down in the Fast Pouhon section of the track. And Sean, I'm looking back at that battle you just mentioned. Fitzpatrick actually got by Evdoka not too long ago. Evdoka's dropped back a little bit because we saw him as high as 3rd, and now he's down to 5th, whereas Fitzpatrick started in 6th, and now he's up to 4th.
You're right, Sam, and I did overlook that. Fitzy doing a good job. Don't want to sell him short. He's having a great race here so far as he gets through Puhan now. I'm sorry, not Puhan. Yeah, no, he's getting through Puhan. I'm just messing with my buttons here and not always sure where I'm at, but I'm on it now. There's Fitzy, and he did a good job getting by Evdoka. Evdoka keeping pace right now, but Fitzy just got to be focused and keep an eye on Clint Shane Smith in front of him. That's the target right now. He needs to get there, and then maybe he can fight for that podium position here at some point. Still a long way to go. The Corvettes, the hungrier of the machines out here, Sam. I expect that they've probably got about a 50 to 55 minute window here at Spa today.
And even though we saw Andrew Welter get going again, he has retired from the race. A bit of attrition early on in this GTE race, Justin.
Yeah, it is an endurance race for a reason. It's a long one, 75 minutes, so a lot of drivers may say to themselves, if I make one mistake or have technical issues, then I don't know if I can end up finishing that. That might have been the case with Welter, or because he's basically stopped at the pit entrance, then towed his car and exited out, for example. So it was just bad luck really with that. You've seen though with these GT3s, it's the example of if you're at the front though, you're going to see a lot of action to help keep you awake. It's just a matter of not falling asleep as well, with it being, of course, 8:45, I should say, Eastern time when we start off. So some drivers may want to make sure they don't fall asleep until their travel pillows.
Yeah, Sam, we did miss the pass that Daniel Cruz put on Dexter Castro. Castro had been biting him off there for about a lap and a half, but when Daniel finally got to him, he was able to execute the pass. Cruz now up to 5th overall. Dex going to slide back to 6th. I don't know if he's got the legs right now in that Mercedes to get there, to be honest with you, Sam. Seems like Daniel Cruz is just operating at another level right now in his Mercedes. Again, he got in that trouble with the Bushfink driver earlier, Cameron Barry, but ever since then it's kind of been charging forward and forgetting about the past.
Well, because the numbers mean something in iRacing, number 1, best I rating, and a higher number means you normally don't have as great I rating. It kind of amuses me a little bit to see what we have in GT3 here. The top 5 cars in the class are numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 for the whole race. They've got a better I rating than anyone in DP or anyone in GTE, and yet the 4 drivers at the tail end of a GT3 field have the numbers 27, 28, 29 and 30. And yeah, it was good to see Dexter mixing it up with those top 5.
Yeah, well, Dexter's no slouch, okay? So, I mean, he can definitely hang with those guys. And we're looking at this battle on screen. Yavi going at it with Esterson.
And Robin holds onto it.
Yeah, and Yavi still finds himself looking up at the bumper and wing of Esterson.
That's the kind of racing you get when you have a number 1 and number 5.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Both managing the no-name turn very well. You know, and the battle behind him has been really good too. Kiosoglu and Valls have just been on point. Now they've not been able to catch those two, but they've really shown no signs of wear or making any real mistakes here that has cost them. I will tell you that when I look at my incidents that have been rung up, we're close on a few drivers. That's all I can tell you because we don't have any way of tracking that exactly. But Sam, there are some guys out here in trouble already.
Well, Justin, I noticed in the first few laps I saw a lot of cars running off, but it seems now the tyres have warmed up and things have calmed down a bit. It's been a lot cleaner out there. Yeah,
Sean was just discussing that with the incident caps being a worry. It has gone cleaner as the racing has gone on, whether it's due to the attrition and as you said, due to the tires warming up. The question is, though, once these tires start wearing down more and more, will they be able to have the same things happening right now? Like, we're seeing guys, for example, like Miguel Vigo, be able to make passes that Yavi Vitreras was unable to perform just a couple laps ago. So, right now, it's going to still be a matter of trying to balance out the tire wear in the end to make sure you don't go off the track or lose control of your car to get a 2x loss of control, for example. So it's a battle still with that incident cap, even if it has gotten cleaner for a lot of the drivers at this point.
Well, for the first 20 minutes of this race, everyone just had to worry about who they were racing in front of them and who they were racing behind. But now I can tell you the lead DPs have finally caught lap traffic. For the next 55 minutes, we're going to see some intra-class traffic as the bottom running GT3 of Cameron Berry has just gone a lap down, and he seems to be having a little bit of connection issues too, which I'm sure isn't helping. And of course, if you are planning on playing some pit strategy, the traffic in front of you can always come into play there later on.
Yeah, and our leader Gallon now just getting by Jeremy Rio. And in the only Audi, the only GT3 Audi in the field tonight, Sam. Jeremy back there right now, 8th in class. Barry definitely having trouble. I saw him in the pre-race chat saying that they were having some storm trouble there in Florida where he's at. So that very well could be affecting his situation right now. Tough race overall for Barry here.
And the battle for third, well, there isn't a battle for third yet, but it's coming, Sean, as Clint Smith actually gets held up a little bit behind the blinking GT3 car there, because Sam Fitzpatrick and Michael Avdoka are slowly closing in on him.
Boy, they are, and they're really going to have trouble getting around Barry here. They've got to be very, very careful. Barry just not, again, he does a good job getting out of the way, but you can never predict where cars are. Car who's having internet connection issues, you can never predict where he's going to show back up on track. They're lucky to get by clean.
Yeah, there's a couple of the top drivers from the GTEs, for example, Ronaldo Llarena, deciding to elect not to race tonight because of that issue, as you mentioned. And Miguel Vigo has slowly become one of the top movers. He's up to the top 5. He qualified about 8th to start off the race. So he is already on the move and on the charge. He will eventually possibly catch up to that top 4 if he keeps things going, as long as he's not burning up those tires going through lacunes, making passes on the outside.
I was watching Avdoka and Fitzpatrick come through the bus stop. They got very close together as they were getting by the GT3 car of Jeremy Rio. Let's see if Avdoka can actually get a run and try and get that position back as they go down to Lake Holmes. Sometimes, as much as Eau Rouge and Ray Delon might not be necessarily a term for these high downforce cars, sometimes you can do a better job of it than the guy in front of you and really get a run on them going into that Lake Holmes complex.
Yeah.
Justin, I keep checking in on that train at the front of GTE. They're not making moves on each other. They're just, it's kind of like watching the Talladega train right now, where they're just working with each other.
Castro just making a call to go into the pits, guys.
Well, Dexter Castro, he is still on the... If he's coming into the pits now, this time around, that might be one of the big strategy calls of the race, deciding to do that and make sure he doesn't have to worry about pitting with 15 minutes to go. He might be just getting it over with. Now that's the best way I can think about it.
Actually, I'm sorry. That was my bad. I think he might have said something else. I think he was calling something out. I don't think it was a pit. Obviously, not somewhere on track where he'd probably be making a call for a pit. Now he is heading down through Blanchimont here. But I think that was just me not hearing the right thing. Sorry about that.
Okay, we were talking about that GTE train before you mentioned that, though. No one's, like Samuel said, has been trying to make a move. And I think it's at the point because no one wants to make the move.
P44 and a touch.
Oh, boy.
Wow, that was aggressive. He's been trying to do that for a while, Sean. Evdoka finally gets it.
Yeah, he does. Finally. He takes it from him, gets through Lasource. Fitzy, got to get back to work here. Okay, so maybe I did hear Dexter say he was coming in the pits because Dexter Castro is in the pits in his GT3. 11 laps he threw down, so gonna get the amount of fuel needed to finish this race. We want to take a replay of the pass.
I don't think this is over, Sean. I don't think this is over.
No, it's
Fitzpatrick's getting a good run on as they go down to Lake Holmes. He's looking on the outside. He clears him. Is Evdoka going to pull him behind him? No, he's going to try and outbrake him down the inside and does a nice job of it. Boy,
he does. I wonder if Doka's got one of those HPP set of pedals under that rig there, because he did outbrake him, and that was the pass right there. I mean, Fitzy just had the line you want there going into Lacombe, but again, strong braking there by Michael gives him that spot, and he continues to...
Watch how aggressive this was, Sean, as we down the replay.
But wasn't that the same corner where a GT3, one of the GT3s at the start of the race had been turned around? Was it, I forget the names of the drivers, it was one of the Bushfink drivers who was involved.
Barry and Daniel Cruz, exactly right, yep.
So yeah, that is a very aggressive area to do that. Even with that happening, you can see Evdoka still even had bumped him a bit up the track, Fitzpatrick, after that too. So, well,
I don't think Fitzpatrick could be completely blameless in this. I mean, it's very early on in the race, and those two were racing very hard, even willing to put their cars in each other's way just to get a position that could very easily be lost in lap traffic or around the pit stops. And Sam losing time behind the Ferrari of Dino Topic there.
Speaking of lap traffic, it's going to become a factor for your front four train with your GTs, because Dexter Castro, as we mentioned, did go in the pits, had a 13-second stop, and guess where he is? Right about a few seconds ahead of Jonathan Brown and Benjamin Perez at the moment. So that is going to be something they will have to negotiate through with lap traffic in a few moments. As you can see, they are closing up very quickly. We'll see how they... But it should be calm, though. It's the first time this train has really had to deal with this all day long so far.
Up here in the DP class, it's going to be Luis Pano-Gala now passing the GT3 leader, Robin Esterson. So a passing of the torch here, and in that battle is Carlo Abadi trying to work his way through. Yavi Utreras gets out of the way really well there. As we're on screen watching this battle here, GTEs, Dexter Castro just caught in the middle of this hornet's nest.
Yeah, and back to those GT... Oh, shoot, Daniel Cruz went around in the GT3s.
He'd been running fifth. That was about for fifth.
Welcome to multi-class racing. Dino Topic gets a piece of him there out of... that was out of Rivage. Yeah, on the exit of Rivage, they get together side by side. You're going to see it right here. They get together. Topic on the inside, and that sends him around. Tough break there for the Mercedes.
And apologies, that wasn't a powerful position, but this is Marino Reyes looking for third place in class in GTE on Lewis Goodway. Again, very close there, Justin.
Yeah, and Goodway trying to get on the pass, try and keep the spot from Reyes. That train was broken up into two pieces by Dexter Castro when they tried to get around him. Reyes now having a chance to move into the podium spot because of that with Goodway here. So this is going to become an intense battle, really, as the top two have started to really pull away because of that breakup of the train.
We've got pit stop action in the TP, Sam.
Yeah, the guy's third and fourth in class. Now, I think Evdoka probably wanted to pit because he knew he'd been catching Smith and didn't want to get held up behind him. Small problem. Smith is still right ahead of him. Oh, and they both hit the wall. Coming to La Source.
Oh, boy.
not the worst we've seen though. We've seen the car flip over there on the GSRC before.
Yes, we have. Gotta be careful at the drive-through window there, guys. Gotta remember that.
Yeah, it's a drive-through window where you can pick up food, not drive through the window and smash into the kitchen of the restaurant, so...
Now, when we saw that Goodway Rays battle at the start of this lap, Justin, that really allowed Brolt and Perez to kind of break away a bit.
Yeah, I discussed that a little bit as that was starting to become former fruition as Benjamin Perez has been able to keep up with Brolt here. It's become 2 packs of 2, really. So if I'm Goodway, I'm trying to figure out a way to close the gap back up because it would be helpful, first off, to keep up with your teammate. But second, he's now having a huge battle with Reyes for that podium spot because of that breakup. Reyes getting a big of an opportunity as there are some DPs coming out of the pits right in front of the group two of those two.
Yeah, well, Smith has came out far ahead of these guys. Avdoka, the long stop, he may have taken tyres. Once again, Perez gets close to Bro, but he's willing to stay behind him for now.
And Avdoka might be able to shuffle things with this top 2 for the GTEs now because of that where he came out of the pits. Of course, the DPs is the fastest of the 3 classes. So you can see Avdoka trying to find a way to get by quickly here. Meanwhile, the other 2 cars, of course, of Brolt and Perez just focusing on their own battle. As here comes Avdoka by Perez. Perez losing some time, trying to let him by, though.
Yeah, I think I know why Avdoka was in, actually. I think he had some required repairs on that car. I don't see him take tires, but he did have right front damage on the machine when he came in the pit, guys.
Yeah, could have got it very easily on that pit entry incident.
Well, the pit entry was on the left side, wasn't it? If it was a right side damage, then I would understand that. But it's you bounced off the left side, so I don't really know how to explain that.
Steve Brown, good friend of ours, making his way down the pits, having pretty quiet runs so far.
Yeah, a lot of drivers really are having quiet runs for the most part. We haven't talked about a lot of drivers through much of the field other than the top 3 in each grouping, or top 5 I should say. You're seeing right now that top 4 is starting to close back up again with the GTEs. But somebody that is starting to try and catch up to that said group, partially with strategy, is Miguel Vigo, because he's the biggest mover of the group. He is still a fair amount behind, about 5 seconds, but he has been slowly but surely closing that gap. He could gain it with some pit strategy, Sam.
Yeah, well, I think the Ferrari employees will be quite content right now because we have top 6 all Ferraris. The first 4 GT in GTE is Michael Houghton, all the way back in 7th place. Gabriel Roux's in trouble. This isn't the first time he ran off on Eau Rouge on the opening lap, had to serve a slowdown. Now, he had been running 7th and last in class. He's only 5th because of two others making a stop. Fortunately, I think he keeps off the wall. At least if he did touch it, was only minor contact. Let's give a shout out to the DP in the pits right now, Syandra. He had been running 6th in class. Now, he didn't turn a lap in qualifying. So he got to start at the tail end of prototype field, so basically 7th, and he's just worked his way up to 4th through others having pit stops and making mistakes. Let's see where he'll end this race.
And you mentioned Gabriel Roux just a few moments ago having issues. He also follows his teammate right into the pits. So Roux, of course, had that issue, so I understand him going in. So maybe this is a little bit of strategy from the team overall, as they're both teammates with Blackadder, or as they have elected to go with their window with 40 minutes to go.
You can see here the gap between Robin and Gavi has really extended from.
Oh, and he gets crossed up there by a GTE car who disappears. I didn't get a chance to see who it was. Oh, man.
So yeah, now he's dropped back into this battle for second.
Nestoras Kiosoglu right there on his tail. Yavi did not need that to happen right there. He was already losing a little bit of time. I think it was just the traffic getting through, but he is under severe pressure right here now.
Now, we ride on board with Kiosoglu, but I'll tell you, right behind them, he's about to have Dino Topic, GTE car who wasn't able to make a start, try and pass him, and that will hold him up. Oh, and they almost made contact actually.
Topic driving it really, really hard on Kiosoglu right now. Again, you know, the incident's a big deal. You got to be careful when making these passes in this multi-class racing. Dino to his outside. Gonna make it stick right there. He's able to finally get around.
Meanwhile, Cyandra is still in these pit stalls, so something not scheduled going on there. Oh, and that's not good.
Topic spins all by himself there, getting into the bus stop, and that car goes right. Decides to go ahead and bail to the pits.
Not a bad idea. Wait and see if he comes back out. He's had some trouble today.
Yeah, I was discussing this with Topic actually about an hour before the race. This is actually his first race in the IMSA's cars overall, and in the GTEs. Of course, he is in a few different series that are aired by GSRC, but he was debating whether or not to race in this race tonight, and unfortunately, it's just bad luck after bad luck. Who is having good luck though? Lewis Goodway as well as Marino Reyes, closing the gap to make the train back to 4 cars up front of that GTE pack, slowly but surely, as they have finally caught back each other up. Benjamin Perez has been slowly closing back up on Brault out of the exits of a lot of the corners in the past few laps as well.
So let's see if any of them choose to make a move down Les Combes. I've got to confess, I thought Perez might try something when he wasn't having that pressure from behind. The problem is, if you try something now, you always run the risk of the drivers behind you capitalizing if your pass doesn't work.
And that's Topic exiting right in front of Goodway and Reyes, and he gets right out of the way quickly. Reyes is going to try and use the pull from Topic, and I think Reyes, part of me, just realized he just came out of the pits, actually. But I think it's about timing up the pass, because there's still 6 minutes to go. Perez did get the pass early on in the race, and then Brault got right by. I think he's still feeling, I'm in second, I'm where I need to be for the time being. I'm not going to put any pressure too much yet for possibly another 30 minutes or so, unless he makes a mistake. I'm just going to take my time from here on out, because it's too early to make a move, I think, really. Unless somebody makes a mistake in front of you.
I'd agree that it still feels very early in the race, Sean, but we're actually over halfway.
Yeah, we are, and you know, one thing we did miss some time ago was Dexter Castro having trouble out of ready on. Goes for a wild ride, a hard shunt that leaves him still stranded in the pit lane now for almost 10 minutes. So I'm sorry we missed that, but Dexter only able to get 12 laps down. As that, like I said, wild ride out of ready on ends his race. We still have 8 GT3s going on track right now. Robert Esterson still in control, but Yavi Utreras and Nestoras Kiosoglu have a great battle going, and that's going to be the one to watch here for a while, because Robin's starting to open things up just a bit, because these guys are battling right now. Look at, he's stepping out, looking to make the move there.
Change for second.
Yeah. Like Kiosoglu was all the way down in fourth, and he's climbed back up and now in that podium spot. Wow, you know, Yavi, a little bit of right side damage on the car. Not a bunch, but man, that could be hurting his top end speed just a bit.
Yeah, this track, definitely a high speed one where you don't want to have damage.
And it seems like something has just happened to Brian Sutton in your GTEs. He is, of course, second in the points for the HP Simulation Sports Car Challenge in the GTEs. We're seeing what was going on with that. He has struggled for much of the race. As you can see, a DP was right behind him, and he just locked up the brakes, and I think he just decided to stop. So something happened with Brian Sutton there for that to happen for the Ohio driver. Well, we're going to have to figure out what's going on with that, because that is very strange. That it just looked like he just locked it up and decided to tow. So something is going on with that team right there, with Sutton, I should say.
Well, he's out of a race now, but a minute before that, he does a pretty cool drift going through the barn track I spotted off the side of my camera. Meanwhile, Sam Fitzpatrick, one of the top running DPs, is into the pits. He comes in from a podium position, but remember, he was battling for 4th and 5th earlier on in the race before the stop started.
Right, so 50's in, but Labate and Gallon continue to stay on track. Gallon still leading this field, the entire field. And Labate about just under 4 seconds behind him. Again, we know they've got to come in. The pit window is definitely open right now. I expect to see drivers coming down here anytime within about the next 5 to 10 minutes and getting those stops and just enough fuel to finish this race.
You mentioned
meanwhile, our GTE leaders are dealing with traffic, Justin.
Yeah, they are definitely dealing with that said traffic, to the point where Lewis Goodway is decided to go to his pit stop just right now. With that traffic, that is Gabriel Rouge right in front of them, that broke up the field a little bit. As right now you can see Brault and Perez very close right now. A little bit of tire smoke, in fact, through that corner. As you can see, they got a little more distance now on Reyes. They might decide to come in soon, as now Carlos Vila had gone in just a few moments ago. Now we're up to 3 GTEs overall having to go in the pits, as that top 3 is going to have to battle with that traffic. As you mentioned, Lewis Goodway, you can see, decided to nope right out of it to go for that said pit stop.
And Benjamin Perez, I think, is very lucky he didn't get a slowdown penalty after taking a lot of the curb through Rouge at that. As a result, he had a nice run on Brault. He wasn't able to do anything with it, but I was half expecting him to pull over and have to yield that second spot to Marino Reyes.
Yeah, let's take a cockpit view of Benjamin Perez here. He has just been following right behind Brault for almost the entire race here. You're seeing right now how he's taking these lines. You can see he's starting to feel he wants to make the pass. I'm thinking mainly because he might be thinking, if I can't get out in front of him after the pit stops, then I'm going to be in trouble here. Really, he might be trying to say, if I go in before, or like pass him before the pit stops, I might be able to keep the lead from here on out. So I know I said usually it's better to wait, but that might be the strategy going through his head at this point. As you can see, he's trying to match the line tit for tat, basically, with Brault right now.
I always wonder if at times like this, the thing going through his head is vortex. Words on the back of that Ferrari in front of him, he's going to be having nightmares about it at this stage.
Okay, let me run down the GT3 field for you real quick. Got 30 minutes left. It's a good time to check in with everybody just before the pit stops. Robert Esterson is the leader. Nestoras Kiosoglu still fighting back here with Javi Utreras in 3rd place. Those two are the best battle in the GT3 class right now. Jorge Valls in 4th. Daniel Cruz back to 5th. Jeremy Rieu from Canada there in 6th.
I'm sorry, Sean. Carlo Labate, running 2nd in DP, came into the pits and almost lost it right at the entry of pit road. You'll see some damage to the front end of his machine. He stopped for so long, I was almost concerned he was going to take a tow and be out of the race, but he did get going again. But you'll see a bit of drama as he came into the entry of the pits here. Back to you, Sean.
Yeah, well, let's face it, the pit entry here is a little tricky because it's right there at the end of the bus stop, and sometimes you don't have that car slowed down as much as you did need to, and obviously that happened to Carlo there. He got a little hot, car gets turned around, and almost wedged in between the very narrow walls of the pit entry here. Glad there was nobody behind him trying to get in. But he does pick up significant damage on the left front that'll get repaired. That'll probably cost him a little bit of time.
Oh, we got trouble! Oh my goodness, the GTE leader in Brawl just got spun around by a lap car. My goodness!
Oh boy.
That could have been a lot worse. He got in the wall on the outside there, Justin, but I think he got away with minimal damage.
Yeah, this is going to be close to call. I mean, hard to fault. Jeremy Ryu was there in his Audi. Was pretty much holding his line, but it does look like the car started to drift maybe a little bit. You've got
yeah, he just drifted right into a Brault. Horrific luck, really. There's no better way to put it with that. Just let's see what happened from the angle right behind him from Benjamin Perez. He just drifted up, and away, around he went. Man, Brault had the car to beat, very likely, and he loses a ton of time because of that. He's now in third, mainly because Vigo right in front of him, who was in fourth, or if it was now in fourth, I should say, had just entered the pits. But he's got a lot of time now to gain right back now on Benjamin Perez and Marino Reyes.
Yeah, talking about the leader, Gallon has come in for some gallons of fuel.
Oh, I see what you did there. Hey, and just real quickly, a shout out to Bushmaster in the chat. Hit me up after the race. I want to take you gambling with me to Vegas, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
That's probably the best.
Bit of a soothsayer out there.
I don't think Gallon is going to have to worry about Labate much when he comes out of the pits because of Labate's mistaken pit entry and Labate spins. Now, Labate's going to have to worry about Clint Smith. Smith is not too far behind him, but he gets up to speed just in time.
The GT3 leader gets by him there.
Yikes, that is the best way to put it. That's probably a very close to getting an error 2x in incidents for a loss of control for sliding sideways as Robert Estison drove right by him, your GT3 leader after that. It's getting to the point where I think a lot of drivers are going to have to worry about tire wear. What is going on with Gallon, though? He has a fairly decent stop with the 13.5. He was sitting there for a couple extra seconds, it seemed. But away he goes with your DP leader there.
I think he might have grazed a wall going through the source on pit entry there. It's very easy to do, but he gets back going again, so I couldn't have held him up too much. But you mentioned it at the top of the show, Justin. We mentioned how the first few laps were kind of messy when the tyres were cold. Then we had a really clean, I don't know, about half hour really. And now the action is starting to pick up again.
Yeah, because this is when a lot of tires are going to start breaking down, because these tires are designed really for about this kind of run, about a 70-75 minute run. And when you have a long race like you have had, as you can see, Clint Shane Smith is trying to catch right back up to Labate. A lot of drivers who did not focus on balancing out the tire wear early on are now paying the price for it, really. While others are not used to the tire wear compared to having fresher tires, and it just, for them, it's feeling like it's coming out of nowhere, like for guys like Labate, was struggling the past couple laps really with his grip. So it's just a matter now of trying to keep control with the worn out tires, because with 25 minutes to go, you do not want to make a mistake, which Brault, you can see, is paying him price for his mistake, still 4 seconds back on Marino Reyes.
Well, and Nestoris Kiosiklu getting caught in a very, very tricky spot here by Michael Evdolka. He finally gets by. Man, that was close. They were just getting out of turn 15 there, and man, the competition here is so fierce. These Corvettes have so much power, overpowered over the rest of these classes, and when they're coming up on you, you got to make a decision, either get out of the way or stay in your line and hope they can get around you. Again, oh boy, Javier Utreras with trouble in the bus stop. Yikes! He totally misses it. Totally misses it. As Esterson was coming in the pits, we're gonna look at this on the replay. Javi just, I guess he missed his braking point there and said, "All right, I'm going for safety," and he avoids a serious incident. But Nestoris Kiosoglu now finds himself the leader of this race, getting by Javier Utreras after that mistake. And it looks like your top three right now, Kiosoglu, Utreras, and Balls, still need that pit stop as Esterson comes in. He's still traveling down the pit lane. Again, the delta very, very long, over a minute on the pit lane. About a minute and 15 seconds is what we're looking at from the time you go in to the time you come out. And as we talked about earlier, that could be part of your strategy tonight.
Yeah, a mistake in the bus stop looks similar to a mistake I made in the Lionheart Retro Series last night here on the GSRC. You kind of approach the chicane going a bit too fast and realise, I might as well just abort it and cut it. I've messed it up anyway. I'll serve a slowdown. But yeah, let's see where Esterson comes out. He's rolling. Don't see anyone for position close to him really. He's coming out 5th in class.
Right, he'll come out 5th with everybody ahead of him, Sam, needing to come in for a stop. Now the Mercedes can do about 27 laps. We figure about 60, a little over 61 minutes. So they're getting light on fuel. The tanks are definitely light. They've got probably about 4 laps left in them if they want to push it all the way. Now, Spa, I don't have to tell you, is definitely a track you don't want to get caught out on shorter fuel. The tow around is monstrous, folks.
Alright, now the DPs, I believe, have all served their stops, so let's run through the top 5 there quickly, because it's kind of simmered down up there now. So, Luis Paulo Gallen is leading, as he has done all race long. Carlo Labate has had a similar incident-free race, barring his pit entry misfortune, running 2nd in class. Clint Shane Smith, I've got to admit, I think this has been the surprise of a race here. He was holding up a bit of a train early on, but now he's had an incident-free race and currently is running in 3rd. But Sam Fitzpatrick, not far behind him, 4th in class, although he did not run a faster lap than Smith last time around. To me, the unfortunate surprise of the DPs today, though, has been our driver in 5th, Michael Evdoka, who was up there in 3rd early on, but he can't seem to be doing better than 5th right now. I can't remember, was he the one who had that long pit stop, I believe, as we see Gabriel Roos running 6th in class and then Cy Andrews still in the pits. Meanwhile, in GTE, Justin, Marino Reyes now into the pits.
Yes, I was just about to mention that he was in 2nd, catching up to Benjamin Perez before he pulled in, and the Florida resident in his HPP Simulation Ferrari deciding to go right on in for fuel here. Corey Roon also coming in, both of them teammates, so this might be a team call to strategize and to hopefully for them try and gain some time on Benjamin Perez and Miguel Vigo at this point. We'll see how quickly they go in and out of the pits here with about 20 minutes to go. As right now you can see Reyes pulling slowly but surely in. And he is officially now in the stop. There's about 10-second pit stops really that we've been seeing. Miguel Vigo, even before the pit cycle, was still being a big mover. Of course, with Jonathan Brault, he was able to get by Brault, in fact, finally. So he's capitalizing on things. Reyes is already right out of the pits. And he is going to come right out in front here of Corey Roon. So behind Lewis Goodway by about 2 seconds.
Yeah, you mentioned Brault, of course, who had that spin in Puthorn. Wondering how high he can actually finish. It's not often you have a moment like that at one of the fastest turns on the track and could still be eligible for a podium finish here.
Yeah, even with that damage, it doesn't seem to be affecting them too much yet. But then again, of course, they still have to get fuel. And who knows, he might also end up getting some repairs and lose some time there. Of course, if it's not broke, don't fix it. The back wing is kind of broke, so I don't know if he kind of wants to fix it, as in partially fix it, if that makes sense. But of course, time is a virtue with these cars now in pits, as we are still a little while away from the white flag, of course.
Yeah, viewers might be looking at the clock in the top left corner saying, there's less than 20 minutes left, there's hardly any time left. But believe us guys, if you've ever watched one of these GSRC endurance races, a lot of stuff happens in not the last 20 minutes, usually Sean, about the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, agreed, Sam. It does always seem to unfold in that last 5 minutes. And honestly, you know, as this clock does start to wind down here in the GT3 class, listen, there's still 4 cars that have to make a very, very important pit stop, and Robert Esterson is the man right now chasing them. He has taken that pit stop. He's good to the end right now, or at least we think he is. Sits back there in 5th spot, stands to gain on all of them as he's turning some very, very fast laps. Now he's over a second faster than the rest of the field. Nestoras Kiosaglou is 55 seconds ahead of him. But again, that pit delta is just over a minute, about a minute and 10 to 15. So that's what Nestoras is dealing with as the leader. Javi Utrera right behind him a couple seconds. Same thing for him. How can they make those pit stops any faster than what Robert Esterson did, which was a 1:17 there for his delta? So a lot still to unfold here. I figure these GT3 cars that are out here still have about 2 more laps. They could probably push this tank of fuel. So watch out. I think it's about time for him to duck in here within the next lap or 2.
Talking about fast, Sean, Clint Shane Smith just set his fastest lap of a race. He was only about 2 seconds, but now you can see he's just getting bulked by the slap traffic, and now he's really getting almost held up by a squeeze by Steve Brown there. Let's see if he can finally get by them in Rivage. Problem is with dealing with that traffic, he's dropped back another 2 seconds on Carlo Labate, so that kind of breaks up a potential battle for second we may have seen there.
Okay, Daniel Cruz, the first of those last 4, he's in. Now, Daniel was quite a ways back from the top 3, but again, the dominoes starting to fall. That tank was getting awful light. He had 25 laps out there on track. Now coming in and rolling into his stop. Such a long ways to get to it here on the endurance circuit. Now our leader in the GT3 class, Kiosaglou, just lapped the other GT3 car, the only Audi that was in the race, of Jeremy Rieu, the Canadian. So again, probably going to get that back when Kiosaglou comes in here, or is Kiosaglou trying to play the very, very long game? I don't know. We'll see. Should be interesting. I wonder how much that Merc's got left in it at this point.
I kind of wonder the same thing about the Ferraris and Fords and your GTEs, because as all but 4 cars have gone in right now. The front 4 is Perez, Vigo, Bront, and Jose Ramon Barrera, who we have not talked much about the last of that grouping. Benjamin Perez still has that gap over Vigo by 6 seconds at the moment. You have to wonder though, are they going to try and stretch it the whole race and go without a pit stop, or are they going to go for the pit stop? You did mention this, Sean, though. You don't want to run out of fuel, so you gotta wonder, with the GT3s starting to make their windows start to close up, the GTEs might have their windows starting to open up right about this second. If you're still out there in that top 4, just to get about 10-15 minutes of fuel, just to make sure you do not run dry. And Benjamin Perez is just doing just that.
So as Perez goes in, you mentioned Fords there. Well, I'm kind of surprised. I know I mentioned Michael Houghton was the highest running Ford early on in the race. He's actually the only Ford out there, so just 1 Ford and 1 Audi. As we watch Jonathan Brolt take back over the lead in GTE, but of course he still has to pit. In fact, I think this will leave him and Jose Raymond Buella, who we really haven't gave a shout out today, but now he's running up there because he hasn't pit yet. I think those are the only 2 GTEs yet to make a stop.
Yeah, and they're probably going to come in next time by, if not in the next 2 laps, really. As Miguel Vigo also had followed in the leader and Benjamin Perez in to get his pit stop in. They're going to have some very fast times. The top drivers have gone in 10 seconds flat, or just under 11 seconds. As here we go, Benjamin Perez and Vigo both pulling into their stalls and needing to have some good stops to get fuel real quick here. And Benjamin Perez should be just about to pull out. In fact, he does attend to. Miguel Vigo has the fastest stop of the day with a 9.5. Maybe he went a little more aggressive with how much fuel he put in with Vigo, I should say, to try and gain some time in the pits.
Yeah, Goodway comes out ahead of Perez here.
And Goodway, of course, had gone in the pits about 10-15 minutes ago. So Goodway, of course, when that traffic was going on, elected to go in the pits. I think he played the strategy card and has won the strategy card game so far, really. Because one thing that was really discussed with a few different drivers was they were estimating the delta per lap you would gain if you went in the pits earlier compared to the other drivers was about 2 seconds a lap. I think Goodway is example number 1 there, getting out in front of Perez with the stop there. So Goodway, his teammate, Perez's teammate, I should say, going fast right now. They still have 29 seconds back of Barola and Brault, of course, though. Both of those still having to go in.
Good way, good call, good strategy. Meanwhile, Sean, GT3 leaders coming into the pits with Kiyosaglu being followed in by Vols.
Yes, sir. They are in, and I'm telling you, there wasn't much fuel left in the tank. They're coming down now, and Kiyosaglu makes that very tricky navigation through the drive-through window there, and he comes now down into his stop, rests, gets there, and that car won't be in long. He's going to get just enough fuel and then get right back out. Pulling in right behind him, Vols. Kiyosaglu is away. Let's see where Estersen's at now, on track. Gabi Contreras keeps it out on track. Obviously, he's going to go around probably one more circuit here, get the most out of it. We got to find Estersen on track here and see where he's at. He's coming through Eau Rouge now, out already on, and he's going to pass Nestoras Kiyosaglu and take that spot. Estersen up to second. Boy, but Kiyosaglu going to have a good chance to fight here to try and catch him. Boy, that was a nice quick stop for Nestoras. Just 1 minute and 13 seconds. That gives him a fighting chance here, guys.
And while you're discussing that, there was also pit strategy of Goodway has taken the lead, I should say, with your GTEs, because Brault did come in with Barola. Barola having the fastest stop of the day with 9 seconds, but Brault falling back all the way to 5th with an 11-second stop, the slowest up the top 5 at the moment. So he lost a bit of time there, might have got a slight amount of repairs, also getting the fuel, who knows really. But Lewis Goodway, he's got a challenge to hold on to the lead in front of his teammate Benjamin Perez. He's got a 1.9 second lead. We'll see how things go here.
Javi Gutierrez finally comes in. Meanwhile, there's been a change for second in Daytona Prototype. Clint Smith has taken it from Carlo Labate, but I'm worried for Labate that his troubles are not over. Labate was hit by a lapped car in the bus stop a last lap around, and ever since losing second to Smith, which he did on the run down to Les Combes this lap, he's continued to drop back, and I'm a little bit concerned for him that Fitzpatrick could get him, and maybe even Evdoka too if the damage is bad enough.
Sam, the Gabi Contreras is in, still making his way down to his pit stop. The bad news for him is Robert Esterson just got out of the bus stop across the start-finish line, making his way down to La Source now in his mirror.
Travis already rolling, though. Travis is already rolling, Sean. It's going to be close.
Oh, it is going to be close. Wow, only 9.1 seconds in the box for Travis. Here he comes.
Travis still has the edge. He bounces over the curb and he almost loses it on pit exit. That may have cost him some time.
Yeah, it's definitely going to cost him some time. Nestoras Kiosaglou, though, wow. Boy, a great pit stop and great strategy by him so far has got him in second place. Esterson back to the front of the field, though. Yavi Treras looks to be the big loser right now. He started on the pole, got the one on the car. Couple of mistakes in this race is all it's taken for him, unfortunately.
And just like that, all of our scheduled stops are over. Now, in Daytona Prototype, the lead is 20 seconds. In GTE though, Justin, it's quite close. Goodway has the lead, but Perez took out half a second last lap around.
Yeah, Perez, of course, was the latter of the two to go in, or the most recent to go in. Goodway going in about 10-15 minutes ago. These teammates, you can see Perez has had the faster car for the most of the day, running second behind until his incident. So right now you can see he's trying to claw his way back up to that lead, work his way down with less than 8 minutes to go. This is when you press your go buttons and press your rocket boosters, because if you make a mistake or wait too much now, if you're Perez, it's too much of a gap, I think, to overcome.
And here are P2, P3 and a P4 in Daytona Prototype, all about to work their way by. Clint Smith goes by Marino Reyes, and then that battle between Labate and Fitzpatrick is coming up. Labate finally seems to be back up to speed because he's holding on to that third place. Smith was blinking his lights at Perez as they went into the chicane, letting him know, hey, I want by. Perez didn't yield it to him, now he finally will. And Smith still has a good enough gap on Labate, he should be safe for a while.
Yeah, this is an absolute mess of cars here, as someone just got a bump on the back end. In fact, at the end of that grouping, that was getting the bump. I think Sam Fitzpatrick bumping his body coming out of the exit from all of that traffic there. Yeah, 3 battles right now going on at once in that grouping. So this is getting wild here. You have Goodway now having to pass by the GT3 leaders, Sean.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Esterson and Kiosaglou are having a great battle here, and this traffic is really going to work into this battle here. We'll see how they can manage it. A lot of pressure here. Got the GTE car coming up on Kiosaglou, Goodway there. Now coming through, Clint Smith. Another Corvette coming, Carlo Labate. Here we go. This is where the fun begins, guys.
So the battle for the lead in GT3, the battle for the lead in GTE, and the battle for second in DP, all on the track together.
Yeah, and Goodway, even with all the traffic and all the DPs, as a DP almost got a nice little bump into the grass, Goodway's taken advantage of it, really, in the midst of all this, to gain a little bit of time on Perez. So he's playing things to his advantage with all the DPs and GT3s zooming by, and him zooming by some of these cars right now. My goodness. Like, look at this with Sam Fitzpatrick.
Man, Robin Esterson just trying to survive here. Under attack from those DPs, Sam.
And that allowed Fitzpatrick to get by. You called it, Justin, but not for long. They can't go too wide through Blanchimont. They can do it here. One of them's got to yield at this part of the left-hander, though. Or not.
Yeah, I don't think this is the time you yield to that, safety or not. This, though, will be interesting. As you can see, Labate got the better exit on the corner with the better positioning.
5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Somehow, they all... I mean... There were a couple of close calls, but somehow Labate and Fitzpatrick got out of that unscathed.
Boy, Kiosaglou really suffered big time from that battle, everybody getting through there. It's 2 seconds ahead for Robin Esterson right now, but more traffic in between them, so we'll see what happens here. Hopefully Esterson can manage this traffic behind him well. He's got the GT and Benjamin Perez and Mario Reyes, and then the DP coming through, and Michael Evdoka.
Where's Gallen gone? Could this be for the lead in DP, actually? Well, actually... Oh, no, Gallen disappeared for a while. Now he finally reappears. Still 20 seconds ahead of Smith, but if he wants to win the race, he's got to cross the line.
Yeah, the Aussie, I just checked this right now. His of course, with iRacing, you have to, of course, go over the internet to play. And when your internet connection goes to a quality of 67, that is something that happens with your ping also in the 300s. So if you're Gallen, you're hoping your connection holds on. And if you're Esterson, you're hoping that you can let by the GTEs around you by quickly, as they did get by, I should say, to focus on his battle. That's a 1 second lead right now he's trying to hold on to.
Speaking of Gallen, he's about to cross the start-finish line with 3 minutes left on the clock. That means 2 laps left to go.
Sam, that's about how I see it. We were watching just a moment ago. Kiesoglu was able to catch back up to Esterson. It's going to be a close battle to the finish between those two. The traffic cycled through, and now they're back to racing each other. Yabi Utrera is back behind him, having a little bit of trouble managing Miguel Vigo getting by there. It looked like Utreras was a little bit loose coming off that last turn, coming out of turn 15 there. But they're back. Vigo gets by. Now Vigo going to get up to the leaders, and that's going to be an issue for them. They come out of the bus stop. Going to be 2 laps to go as they come by.
And you were mentioning that there through the bus stop, Benjamin Perez gained a ton of time because Goodway had to let a DP right by and Doka. So it's down to a 0.4 of a second lead with 2 laps to go here. The 2 teammates, this is going to be a battle to watch for sure. Marino Reyes just sitting back behind Perez and our second and a quarter behind them. So this is the opportunity Perez has been looking for.
And what a points day it would be for all of our class leaders right now. Luis Paulo Gallen, 7th in the points. Lewis Goodway, I don't even see him on the GTE points list. And GT3, Robin Esterson came in 11th in the points. They're all going to get big jumps if they can all hold on to it.
Yeah, this question with Goodway, can he hold on to his gap? It's now to 0.3 of a second with that battle now.
And that's the points leader in GTE behind him, Benjamin Perez. One and a half laps left to go for these guys.
You know, back here in the GT3s, Vigo really trying to stay out of this battle, but obviously the GTE car a little bit faster. Kiosoglu and Esterson are still fighting for this spot. It's not over yet. Even though they're going to have a lap to go, it's still anybody's race here in the GT3 class.
Yeah, white flag is out. Gallen has crossed the start-finish line, Justin.
Yes, they did, and following them, Lewis Goodway still now pulling away down the straightaways in those GT3s. But man, this is getting interesting. It's also the point where you have some cars having to watch to make sure they don't get disqualified. Cameron Barry is one of the cars who did. Jose Ramon Barora is another one of those drivers right now with 23 seconds on the clock. Pardon me, Barora having connection issues.
You think he's out, actually. It's a very unfortunate time to lose the internet connection with just a few moments to go.
Boy, no kidding, yeah.
In fact, the clock is at 0 now. Our leader Gallen is over in Pujon.
Yeah, the white flag is out, Sam.
Looks like it would really take a mistake from Goodway there, Justin, to lose this lead.
Yes, it could come to that, really. If you're Perez, you're just waiting for that said mistake to capitalize on it, because Perez has fallen back to 0.7 of a second back of his teammate, as it's a 3-car battle for the victory for those GTEs right now, going through the corners.
But it's clean sailing for Gallen up front. He's working his way through Blanchimont right now, as he makes his way through this final sweeping left-hander, and then the bus stop for the last time he'll come to the finish line. Well, we've had great battles up front in GTE and GT3, but in DP, boy, Gallen has smoked them today. Congratulations to Luis Paulo Gallen, who takes the overall win.
And your GTE
is next. Yeah, we got Lewis Goodway leading Perez out here, Justin.
Yes, I was just about to get to that. Goodway now up to 0.9 of a second in front of Benjamin Perez as they go through these corners, approaching that bus stop section, going through the last final left-hand sweeping corner. Goodway's just got to make sure he does not make a mistake in these final turns as Perez tries to close the gap into the corner. Goodway with a good exit. Perez getting a bit loose on the exit. That's going to help it for Lewis Goodway.
And here come the GT3, Sean.
Here they come, and it's going to come down to the bus stop. It's Esterson. It's Nestoras Kielcoglu. Kielcoglu slides a little bit there on the exit. Going to give it to Esterson across the line. Robin Esterson, the man from New York, your winner. Nestoras Kielcoglu second, and Yabi Utreras rounding out the podium after starting on the pole. What a race in the GT3 class. It comes down to that last turn, boys.
Nose to tail in GTE and GT3 at the end there, Justin.
Yeah, it was definitely really, Lewis Goodway was helped with what happened at the end, really, to come away with a victory. Some good action overall in all three classes, I think, though.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come and talk to some of your top finishers. Stay here on the GSRC. We'll have full race results when we come back. Hello and welcome back to the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, where we just witnessed 75 minutes of racing here during the HPP Simulation Sportscar Challenge, live on the Global SimRacing channel. And at the end of the day, it was Luis Paulo Gallen taking home the overall win. He had 25 seconds when the checkered flag fell over Clint Shane Smith. Sam Fitzpatrick was third in class, and then Carlo Labate got fourth after some late issues. Michael Avdoka rounded out the top five, and then Gabriel Roos sixth after his slowdown penalty early on. Only 7 cars in DP. Seventh place was Cy Andra, multiple laps down. Justin.
Lewis Goodway came away with a victory for the GTEs for his team, Team Bushfink, and his teammate helped with the 1-2 finish, Benjamin Perez, coming away with second. Marino Reyes, running third for most of the race, comes away with the third position finish, as Miguel Vigo comes away with a 4th place finish. Very good run overall for Vigo. Rounding out your top 5 overall was Jonathan Brault, your pole sitter who struggled down in the end of it before his pit stop, I should say, after an incident with one of the GT3s. Carlos Vila comes away right behind him with 6th. Michael Hogton in 7th. Corey Roon in 8th. A few cars, though, struggled in the class. Jose Ramon Barora having connection issues. He finished off 9th. Dino Topic, his first race in a GTE, came away to round off your top 10. Brian Sutton second in the HP Simulation Sports Car Challenge points, falling outside of the top 10 after his early race struggles. Mario Teixeira, Andrew Welter, and Blake Neck also did not finish. Sean?
The GT3 results are here, and Robert Esterson is your big winner after getting a big pass on Yavi Utreras in the opening lap of the race. Nestoras Kiosoglu going to finish second on the podium. Yavi Utreras will take that 3rd spot on the podium. Jorge Blasco Valls will finish 4th. Daniel Cruz 5th. Steve Brown hangs in there for a 6th place finish. Jerry Rio 7th. Cameron Berry in 8th. And Dexter Castro was the only car that unfortunately didn't finish this race in the GT3 class. We'll finish 9th, guys.
Well, our overall winner, Luis Paulo Gallen, is celebrating with his team, and who can blame him? But we do have our 2nd place finisher here in the Daytona Prototypes, Clint Smith. Congratulations, 5th to 2nd.
Yeah, cheers for that. It was a bit of touch and go there at the end with the lap traffic, and I didn't know how it was going to play out, but yeah, no, it's really good to come out with the 2nd place finally with a good result.
I've got to admit, this was a bit of a surprise to me to see you up there. Like you say, you haven't had the best results this season, but also it seemed you were stuck back there mingling around 3rd, 4th, 5th earlier on. And then as things fell your way during the race and you ran some really hot laps, you ended up there on the 2nd step on the podium.
Yeah, no, it tends to work out that way in most races. I mean, I've had a lot of bad luck lately with the Aussie SOF series on Thursday nights, and in this series as well, I had a bit of bad luck. Like last week, I was running 2nd and ended up putting myself out of the race by spinning on one of those corners. So, yeah, I've had the car speed. I just haven't really had the best of luck. So it's really good to get this result for the Performance Motorsport team, and yeah, hopefully we'll see a few more of these in the future.
Yeah, and the good thing about podium finishes, of course, is a win isn't too far away. Do you think he can get next week at Road America?
To be honest with you, I would like to say yes, but if Luis rocks up, then yeah, no chance. Yeah, no, Luis is a really, really quick driver. He can really punch out those one-lappers when he needs to. That's why in qualifying he's generally always 8/10 up on most people, just because he's just phenomenal. He's pretty much a freak, he is, when it comes to these cars and a lot of cars in this service.
Alright, well thanks for coming to talk to us, Clint. Congratulations on the 2nd place finish, and we look forward to seeing you back at Road America.
No problem. I'd just like to say a big thank you to the Performance Motorsport sponsors, MF Race Art, Hybrid Racing Simulators, WP Concreting, my own personal sponsors, MS Flooring and Joel Real Timing. Big thanks to those guys. Without them, I wouldn't be where I am. So yeah, Thanks, and I'll enjoy watching the broadcast back.
Well, that was our second place finisher in DP. Justin, you've called up with our race winner in GTE, Lewis Goodway.
Yes, Lewis Goodway coming away with a victory today. So, Lewis, how does it feel really to win here at Spa tonight in what was a good race overall?
That was awesome. I had a really good race with Ben. I don't really know. I'd never done one of these interviews.
Yes, I don't be nervous. I can tell you that, Lewis. I can tell you were a little surprised, I think, as well, because before your pit stop, you had a pit stop 10-15 minutes earlier, really, than the rest of the top 5. What was the strategy behind that compared to the other drivers on track who decided to go with about 10-15 minutes to go?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to get out of traffic. My teammate was saving fuel in second place, and I just thought I'd just gamble and go in the pits. Got some fresh air and then put in some quick laps. Managed to jump him. I think Jonathan had an incident. I haven't seen it, though.
Yes, Jonathan unfortunately did have an incident with a member of the GT3 E-Class, but take us through those final laps trying to hold off Benjamin Perez as well, your teammate, down to the wire, essentially, because Perez was gaining about 0.2 a lap just about out in open space in those final few minutes. Walk us through what was going through your head while you were trying to hold off Perez to get the victory.
I was more just worried about the traffic. The DPs were all coming through, and there was a big cluster of cars, and so it got a bit crazy at times. But I managed to keep my cool.
You managed to keep your cool, and you managed to get the victory as well. Is there anything, Muddy, you want to thank before we send you off to continue your celebration in Victory Lane?
Everyone in Team Bushfink Racing. Big shout out to Craig. He's the main man. And Rickard, of course. And Ben, of course, in that race. That was cool. Good stuff.
Thank you very much for the time, Lewis. Congratulations on the GTE victory. And congratulations, I guess, to the rest of your TBR train as well. Enjoy the rest of your night, sir.
So that was Lewis Goodway. He had a good race, Sean. Unfortunately, not everyone did, but they still had a few good stories to tell. You called up with Dino Topic.
Yeah, let's talk to Dino real quick. Dino, tough sledding out there tonight for you, buddy. Talk to us a little bit about your race. I know we've traded a few chats here in the chat window on YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling here, man. A little bit of problems with the PC, and it almost seems to be with iRacing. What's going on there?
Oh, I don't know. I've noticed that recently. I had it with 2 or 3 times with different races, like right in the qualify. It would just freeze up, so by the time I get back, it's too late. But what I'm surprised is how they handle, I guess, missed starts without being connected to the server. I lost 2 laps, even though I was technically on the back of the first lap. But it's okay. It's the first race anyway.
Yeah, well, you said you hadn't done much racing recently here, and you're kind of getting back at it. I don't know. You got to put in 32 laps. Give us your impressions. At the end of this race, what do you think? You ready for more action next week?
Maybe. I'd have to look at the schedule. If I'm not working, I'll be there. But I didn't have a problem really. Given the reputation of IMSA, I think it was pretty okay. Traffic was okay. There was, forgot which corner that is, that downhill left-hander, there was a GT3. I didn't get any contact, but he spun right in front of me, so I don't know. I think it was Daniel Cruz, so I do apologize if I caused that. Given 2 laps down, I didn't really want to push much, but I think overall it was okay.
Well, you got your feet wet, ready to come back and do it again. Thanks a lot for coming in and chatting with us just for a second. Anybody help you out this week you want to thank for tonight's race?
Well, we did the league race at Spa a little while ago, so that's with CMS League, and those guys helped out a lot. I'm still learning the cars. It's an interesting little it's interesting. I guess that's all I can really say.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, thanks again. We will see you next week, and we wish you the best. And thanks again for the interview, bud.
No problem. A great broadcast as always.
And our thanks to Dino Topic, the GTE driver, manages a 10th place finish in class, and we thank him for his time. Sam, Spa is always a lot of fun. We talked about it in before we got on the air. This is a track we've covered pretty extensively. We've all driven here. We've all had a lot of fun at Spa. Some great memories here. Tonight was another great IMSA race.
Yeah, we have a lot of great memories and great racing at Spa. Such is the case as Road America, and you're not going to want to miss that race at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time next Friday night. Forget what day of the week is. Next Friday night here on the Global SimRacing channel. Be sure to check out and join us. Before we go, we would like to thank HPP Simulation and Mark Hargett for putting on this championship, and the IMSA community for putting on a fantastic show tonight. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. There you see them all listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde to provide us with our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Justin, Amjad and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at facebook.com/globalsimracingchannel. Our next race, as we mentioned, Road America, next Friday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time, here on the GSRC. We also have upcoming races for our other series listed on the screen, so check them out, mark them down on your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.